Right, so people were coming off the back of the Matchroom versus Queensbury 5v5 this past weekend. Obviously, it's Friday at the time of recording this video, so this is a very, very late reaction. I just really wanted to make it, but haven't been bothered to really make it all week. So, starting off on the card, we had Craig Richards versus Willie Hutchinson. Craig Richards probably came in the biggest favourite on the card. I picked him to win. This was my fourth wrong pick of the year. Hutchinson gets it done in very convincing fashion. Not a whole lot in it for Craig Richards. He maybe won 1 or 2 rounds in the entire fight. Willie Hutchinson was just on the outside, and he would pick his moments to just explode on Craig Richards. And Craig Richards never really got going, never really established his place, never really got the jab going, and Willie Hutchinson basically dominated him in a very impressive win. And he's definitely someone you need to keep your eye on going forward. Next up on the card, we had Nick Ball or Raymond Ford versus Nick Ball. Now, Nick Ball gets it done by a split decision. I picked Nick Ball to win this, just knowing what I know about Raymond Ford and being more of a slick American boxer who has in the past pulled shit out, just out of his back pocket, just out of nowhere, has come back from the brink of defeat in his world title winning performance, actually. But I think I just thought you get these slick kind of American style boxers, they're going to really struggle to get Nick Ball off of them. If you got a guy, if you're like a slick, laid back kind of defensive fighter-ish, not that he is really overly defensive, but you know what I'm trying to say, that American style. I feel like a guy's going to come forward, not going to give up, and just kind of rough you up a bit. Like Nick Ball's going to give you a huge amount of issues. I really feel like he would have had a lot more success if he got behind that jab and was tagging Ball to the body coming in. With all that being said, though, he really could have won this fight. Like, it was close. I thought in the moment they were going to give it a draw again, but Nick Ball gets it done, which is, you got to be happy for him coming off the back of that draw last time to Ray Vargas, which was a fight he definitely won, without a doubt. Now, next up on the card, we had Hamza Shiraz versus Austin Williams. I really like Hamza Shiraz. This was a great performance. Austin Williams had a really good first round, tagged Hamza Shiraz heavy, but Hamza Shiraz he's a big guy for the division. He picks his shots well. He's long. He knows how to use that length. He's disciplined, so he's not going to go over the top of it. He can fight on the inside. He can fight on the outside. He picks his shots really well. And he's kind of picked the part against Austin Williams, getting his stoppage in the 11th round, which is pretty much a huge win for Queensbury at that point. Now, kind of going off the 5v5, we had Dimitri Bivol versus Malik Zinad. Malik Zinad impressed me, but only because of the fact he was not willing to give up. In terms of how he actually performed, it wasn't great. It was more what Bivol done than what he did, because he gave it his best. If you Bivol just first round, he dropped him with a beautiful 1-2-1 combination, dropped Malik Zinad. I actually picked Bivol to win this fight by a stoppage. That's exactly what happened. He just kind of laid. It wasn't a whole lot in the fight. I'm going to honest. Zinad was every time he was jabbing, he was letting his lead hand stray low, and I think Bivol was just trying to time him with the right hand after that. So Bivol just kind of played behind the high guard, was jabbing every now and again, and was just waiting to time that shot. That's exactly what he did later on in the fight. Gets it done, I believe, in the 7th round. Next up on the card, the only other pick I got wrong on this card, which was another huge upset, and my 5th pick wrong this year. I'm doing very good on picks this year, to be fair, which was Daniel Dubois versus Filip Hrgović. What a fucking performance from Daniel Dubois, and what an awful, disgraceful, shit performance from Hrgović. And I've not really seen that many people say this about this fight. Hrgović looked awful. Daniel Dubois was just coming forward. He came in a lot bigger in this fight, which I thought would be a mistake. I thought Hrgović was going to move around the outside, work off the jab, and time Daniel Dubois of counters coming in and stop him midway through the fight. That, of course, did not happen. Daniel Dubois just kind of came forward. Hrgović really didn't have much for him. He literally looked like Tommy Fury out there. It was just 1-2, 1-2, 1-2. And it was tagging Daniel Dubois, but once Daniel Dubois kind of got that head moving a little bit, It was all Daniel Dubois. He just cut him open. There were a few headbutts in there, but if the ref's not going to tell you to stop, you're going to keep doing it, aren't you? So that's exactly what he did. Brilliant performance by Daniel Dubois. Shit performance from Filip Hrgović. He gassed out very early in the fight. You could see he was trying to get Dubois out of there. I do think he underestimated Dubois, and I picked Hrgović to win, and I've always said Dubois is talented, but at this point in your career, when do people start to rethink about Hrgović, right? Because every time I've seen him fight, he's looked bang average, and that's no insult to him. Well, no, it is an insult to him. Get your shit together, but he's meant to be this next big thing, and every time I've seen him fight, he's looked bang average, and he's never really impressed me all too much. The best he's looked recently was against Mark Demori, and that speaks for itself. He was on fucking Dave getting beat up by David Haye when David Haye was literally shot to bits. So, obviously, next up in the card, we had the main event, Zhilei Zhang versus Deontay Wilder. I picked Zhilei Zhang to win this, and exactly what he did by knockout in the 5th round. Wilder looked horrid. Wilder might have looked worse than he looked in the Joe Parker fight. He looked awful. There was nothing in it. You could see by the way he was performing, he wasn't. Whenever he would throw the right hand, there was no leverage. He wasn't extending it properly. There was no leverage to really commit to the shot and try and hurt Zhang. There was nothing behind it. The jab he wasn't even really jabbing. He was kind of leaving his lead hand out there. And I think I said before the fight, Zhang's going to come forward, cut the ring off, work that straight left of the body and come out for a right hook. The straight left of the body was there, and he was using it whenever you'd get Wilder backed up, but where Wilder was so defensive, it just, he never really, Zhang didn't really get going, if you know what I mean. He was winning the fight, but he wasn't really firing on all cylinders. He never really left second gear. When Wilder did start to kind of come forward and show some of the old Deontay Wilder, I wouldn't say, really the old Deontay Wilder, but when he did in that 5th round, Zhang caught him for a right hook, spun Wilder's head around, and then fucking knocked him out. And sad to see Wilder go out like that, but at the end of the day, he was never good. And I know that's the boxing fan thing to do when somebody loses a fight. Oh, they were never that good. But I'm going to get into this in a separate video if he does retire, which he should. He's 43-4-1, 42 knockouts, three losses by knockout. His best wins are against Luis Ortiz and Romain Stiverne. Romain Stiverne was like a top 15 heavyweight in his day. One of the worst heavyweight champions ever. Luis Ortiz was meant to be this big boogeyman, but at the end of the day, who had Luis Ortiz really fought? Nobody. How good had Luis Ortiz ever looked? Not very good. How good was Luis Ortiz's amateur pedigree? Not the greatest, especially from someone from that kind of schooling. It's just the way the cookie crumbles. He stepped up against high-level opposition, and he has not looked good in one of them fights, really. He had the draw against Tyson Fury. That wasn't a draw. Fury won it 10 rounds to 2. Wilder's two rounds won were due to knockdown, so it's like 10-4, if you think, you know what I mean. And then he had the second fight against Fury where Fury just ran through him. He had no success. Fury fucking took the piss in the 3rd fight, had trouble, but still knocked him out. Joseph Parker had no success. Zhang fight, he had no success. He was never that great. I know he had over 10 title defenses. He was always a poor fighter. Maybe he wouldn't have been if he stepped up against higher competition earlier in his career, but he did get going late, and he kind of always was a one-trick pony. He can never really fight off the back foot. And I'll get into more of that in a later video if he does retire. So I want to start doing career recaps and fighters that start to retire, seeing as we are going to see a big influx of, I believe, fighters retiring within the next 2-3 years. So thank you for watching this breakdown reaction. Like and subscribe. Goodbye.